some of the success we've had there, and I think that's helped in casting a lot of the major characters on The Flash and the supporting characters that we have this other show.
Mm-hmm. How is Barry Grant? How is he dealing with this, though? Especially with the people in his life, and how much is he kind of keeping it a secret? How much is he letting people in on it all?
Well, I mean, I think he's having a hard time with the whole secret aspect of it. Joe is really kind of stressing to him that to keep everyone safe, especially Iris. Like, he can't tell her, and now, I mean, Joe's trying to keep me safe, and he's a little reluctant to let me use these powers. So, I mean, it's kind of resulting in us butting heads a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And, going forward, because the show was begat from Arrow, the crossover question, you've already addressed this to some extent, but can you talk about when we're going to see some of these characters merging?
In episode 104 of The Flash, Emily Bett Rickards, who plays Felicity Smoke, is going to come over. I think, people who are fans of Grant's appearances on Arrow have a lot of questions about where Baricity is coming, is going, and then we actually have a major villain from the Arrow universe who's going to appear in an early episode of The Flash, which we'd like to keep secret for a little while longer. But episode 8 of both series is going to be a 2-hour crossover event. We're going to do something that starts in Starling City on Arrow, that continues into Central City, that goes back into Starling City, and we'll be mixing the casts up. And for us, like when we were kids, and even now, some of our favorite episodes are when shows like $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman would cross over, or more recently like Doctor Who and Torchwood and Sarah Jane, or Buffy and Angel. So rather than say, oh, we'll get to that someday, our philosophy is always to get to it now, because that's what's fun.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like they're going to keep you very busy. Certainly you have The Flash. There's potential crossovers, but I imagine that's a good problem to have. But are you excited just about getting to be part of the as you as an actor, just being part of the superhero universe?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it's not even something that's a dream come true, because it's something I would have never even fathomed having the opportunity to do. So, I mean, it's just, I'm having the time of my life.
Mm-hmm. Going forward, we were all wondering about, the possibility. I asked you this, Andrew, last week about you're building so many characters, about that sort of mega team up, with the population of all the superheroes across. Do you think about one day, like what you can do to bring all these characters together?
I mean, I think for me, I was 13 years old and collecting comic books and reading Crisis of Infinite Earths and seeing just those covers, with all of the collection of characters. I mean, I think it's a dream when we do a show like this that we build toward those kind of things. And certainly I think what's requisite is that we make the shows right now as interesting and as fun and entertaining as possible and successful as possible. And in success, we've gotten to grow to a place that I don't think we foresaw. And hopefully we would get to keep going in that direction. And I mean, there could be, I can't imagine something more fun than having all of those characters and all of those and all of their powers and abilities really dramatized at the same moment at the same time.
As you go forward, he's got a lot of father figures, this character. First of all, what is it like for you to work with John Wesley Shipp, which I am a big fan of that old Flash series. So what's it like to have the original Flash working with you?
It's super cool. I mean, me and John are both from Norfolk, Virginia,
right.
Which is like this weird connection that we have. And he's just been the best. I mean, our scene that we had in the pilot was my favorite scene to shoot. I mean, it's just such an emotional scene, and I got to surprise him on the day, because Andrew actually wrote a line for me that John didn't know about, and it kind of really helped make that scene a little bit more organic and raw and land really well. And I mean, he's been really happy for me and just supportive, and he's just the best. We're having a lot of fun.
We were also such huge fans of the original show, and and Greg had worked with John on Dawson's Creek. Yeah. So when we were first sitting down and sort of hashing this out, we said there was no way we could do this without John Wesley Shipp being a part of it in some way.
We actually have a question from one of our viewers for you guys. If we can bring that up here. Cool. Facebook. Stacy asks, who from the DC universe would you love to have a cameo or recurring role in a show?
And these guys can somewhat control that, but Grant, we'll start with you.
I mean, if it was ever I know it's the dreamland, but
We've
Gotta be real.
actually been really blessed. Jeff Johns, who's our other partner on The Flash, is the chief creative officer of DC Comics, and there are very few asks that we've made, whether it was for Arrow or for Flash, that we haven't gotten. So we're pretty much getting to play with all the characters that we want to play with in these worlds.
Going forward, can you talk about, I don't know if you probably can't give away what the overriding threat of the season will be, but how much that will be percolating up, and I know he'll have enemies week to week, but what will sort of be the storyline of the first season? Will it be just kind of him learning what it's like to be the Flash?
That's a big part of it. I also feel like, we always try to put as many hints in the pilot as possible, so that in success we could go back and go, see, we knew what we were doing even if we didn't. We obviously hinted, I think, historically a great threat for the Flash in there.
You do?
And so there's that, and there's also the mystery of what really happened to his mom, and that's a shared mystery now with a character like Joe, who now knows the truth too. That something miraculous happened that night, and then there are the week-to-week villains who may be from the crime world or the police world, or they may be the metahumans. And then there's also the great thing that happens in TV, which is as much as you plan, the thing that you didn't foresee.
Right.
Like a character like Felicity in the first year on Arrow, or the dynamics that you sort of foresee coming when we added Barrowman in the first year, and then you sort of start to see how things evolve, and so we leave open room for that possibility.
There are a lot of great Easter eggs in the pilot alone. Is that something you're going to continue to have fun with, layering it?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was important to us even in the Arrow pilot to have the Deathstroke mask.
Yeah.
And again, like I sort of talked about, that like it's not just the Green Arrow or it's not just the Flash. It's the entire world. It's the DC world that we're bringing to life. And we always say that like pilots are promises. So that's our promise that in success we'll get to do things like you saw at the end of the pilot, or a certain simian's cage that might have been
Don't know what you're talking about.
might have been broken out of.
When you did the episodes of Arrow, but also now that this is going forward, have you talked to Stephen Amell at all? Have you gotten any superhero advice from him about what you're jumping into?
Mostly the advice that I got from Stephen was to pace myself and get my sleep, and it was very good advice thus far.
Right.
Yes. It wasn't to hit the salmon ladder?
No.
Does the pilot have a premiere date?
October 7th.
October 7th. Cool. I'm very excited. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming by the
Thanks
show.
a lot, guys.
Thank you so much.
Stay tuned. We have lots more coming up on IGN Live from Comic-Con after these messages.